According to the BBC, there are about 1.3 billion Catholics around the world. In a 2015 Wall Street Journal study, they found that 81.6 million Americans are Catholic, which is about 25% of the American population. With all the people and how old the religion is, Catholicism has played a major influence in Western civilization, culture, and philosophies. Here is a map showing exactly where Catholicism is spread out through the world, showing the percentages and number of people who are Catholic in continents such as North America, South America, Asia, Europe, and Africa. Me and my partner are going to review the role of communication in the Catholic parish and the responsibility of leadership to guide an effective, open channels of communication to the congregation. Our main points are how communication affects the parish culture, the communication in the church leadership, effectiveness of church communication, and common mistakes and challenges in church communication. I have a lot of experience with the Catholic Church. I have been in the Catholic Church my whole life. I've gone to Catholic high school, Catholic grade school, my parents are Catholic, and most of my family is as well. So I have a lot of experience in the Catholic Church. I know how the leadership interacts with the parish. I know how the parish interacts and how communication is effective and needs to be effective to run a successful church. Communication greatly affects parish culture. The overall message of the church is made by the priest. According to USCatholic.org, the best practices for parish communications are to have the right message to the right audience, which makes sense. The priest gives his message during the homilies, and if the parish doesn't like it, then they're not going to come back. A lot of Catholic parishes also have a lot of events. The events are most of the time are fundraising for the church, and so the church can do outreaches or send people on trips, like missionaries or to the youth group and all that. So bad communication will lead to less people showing up. If they're not showing up for church, if they're not showing up for events, the church is going to lose a lot of money. And it's not even that. The church can't stay open if there's no people coming to it. This is a graph that shows the structure for the Catholic Church. At the top you have the Pope. He's pretty well known even if you're not Catholic. He lives in Italy in the Vatican and is considered to be the successor of St. Peter. He is considered to be the Word of God. Below him you have the cardinals, who are archbishops that live in the Vatican and advise the Pope, and they're from all over the world, usually North America, and mainly Europe, though there's a lot from Italy and Germany and Spain. There's some from South America as well. Then you have the archbishops, and there's a few of those in every country. Those basically get the word from the Vatican and spread them out to the bishops. Every state at least has a few bishops. I know the one from Lansing has the whole middle of Michigan. And next you have priests, who are in charge of the local Catholic parish. Below them are deacons, which basically help out the priest. They can do a lot of what the priest can, except for the sacrament of confirmation. And below them you have the laity, which are the nuns, the brothers, and the sisters. Usually the leadership in the local parish, it starts and is headed by the priest, but the deacons are in there if it's part of a school like mine was. There are important people from the school, the principal, some investors who belong to the church also are there. People who are generally active in the community are also on the leadership council, and the people who do the music, if they're important to the church, they're probably on the local parish council, which decides what's best for the church. It's always important to be improving communication. If you can't communicate to your parish, you're going to lose them. Some valuable ideas would be for the priest to always be available. He's the head of the parish, so you should be available to talk. You want him to take interest in other people and have other people come up to you and express their ideas. You want him to be engaging. And here's where I hand you off to my partner as she finishes the rest of the speech.
So far, we've reviewed how communication, both good and bad, can affect a church's parish, as well as how the roles and responsibilities of church leadership is to guide its staff toward effective communication. So how does a church communicate? There are three main methods of communication in a church: print, digital communication, and of course, live interaction. And all three can fall prey to their own inefficiencies. The most common form of printed communication is a local church bulletin. This publication can house a lot of information and range anywhere from 4 to 8 pages. Staff contact details, life events, such as births, weddings, or deaths, social events, such as weekly bingo or a holiday supper, mass schedules, confession schedules, advertisements. This is just to name a few. In an article by Rich Birch entitled 15 Lessons from 17 Different Church Bulletins, he found that larger parishes tend to have smaller bulletins, while smaller churches have larger bulletins. This is due in part to some of those smaller congregations resisting the shift to social media and digital communication. Therefore, they need to cram all of their church's information into those printed pages. How that's inefficient is that Mr. Birch also found that only a small group of people in a parish are interested in only a select few pieces of that information. Therefore, the publication is not being read front to back. So this brings us to social media. As stated in the Pope's 2009 message from the 48th Annual World Communication Day event, Roman Catholics can no longer resist this technological shift in communication to digital communication, but should rather embrace it as a challenge and an opportunity for parish growth. But even this form of communication has its pitfalls. With young millennials starting families and looking for religious enrichment in their lives, they're turning to websites and social media to find an organization. As stated by Jonathan Howe in an article excerpt from thomasrainer.com, most common errors on websites, on church websites, are improper hashtag use, poor grammar, and unanswered questions. This is a big deterrent for these young millennials and can easily send them to the parish down the road who may offer more advancements in this space. Next, we move to live communication. In an article published by the Malthus Group, it states that effective communication from the pulpit encourages growth and unity amongst a congregation. Therefore, despite years of seminary study and training, when church leaders emerge as poor communicators, they can have negative effect on the spiritual growth of an entire parish. Another inefficiency in this space is missing the mark on multi-generational messaging. For a sermon to be effective, one must be able to articulate that message as it relates to anyone in the congregation and not just a select few. So we've covered a large amount of information in a small amount of time. So not only just to recap our different methods of communication, being print, social media, and live communication, and the impacts that that can have on a congregation, we offer you a potential challenge. The next time you're at a service, or if you're looking for a congregation to join of your own, ask yourself these questions. Does this organization have a local bulletin? Do they offer weekly services? Is there a social website? If you've answered yes to even one of those questions, do your own research. Look at those publications, look at those forms of communication. How do you find them effective or ineffective? And let your voice be heard. Share your thoughts with your local church and have some say in the spiritual growth of yourself as well as the church community as a whole. Thank you.